Hello, and today we're going to talk about proportions. And so there are two different things that we're going to do when we have proportions. The first is we could check to see if two fractions are equal to each other. And so let's do a couple examples of that. So let's start out with a pretty easy one. 1/2 equals 2/4. And we know this is true because 2/4 would reduce to 1/2. So if we have proportions, the way that we can tell if they are the same is we cross multiply, and we want to see if we get the same answer. So if I cross multiply, I get 4 for 2 times 2, and then 1 times 4, I also get 4. So those are the same. That means they are proportional. Now, if I wanted to have an example of something that is not proportional, that means when I cross multiply, they're not equal to each other. So let's say I had 1/3 and 1/2. So we cross multiply again. So 3 times 1 would be 3, and 1 times 2 would be 2. So 3 does not equal 2, so those are not proportional. So all that means is that the fractions are not the same. Okay, if something's proportional, then the fraction is the same. Okay. The way that we're going to use this is that we're going to sometimes have a variable, and we're not going to know what x is going to be equal to, or whatever letter they might use. And we're going to have to try to figure it out by solving the proportion. And so let's do an example of this. Let's say I had x over 5 equals 2 over 10. If I want to solve this, I know that I want them to be equal to each other, so I cross multiply. I get 5 times 2 is 10, and I get that that's going to be equal to 10x. So I just multiply 10 times x. And then I just have a one-step equation. Now we can solve this pretty easily. Divide it by 10, and 10 divided by 10 is 1. So x would be equal to 1. Okay. So let's do one more example. Let's say I had x over 3 equals 6 over 9. Again, we're just going to cross multiply. So I've got 3 times 6, which is 18, and 9 times x. So I have 9x equals 18. And I'm going to divide both sides by 9 so that I can get x by itself. 18 divided by 9 would be 2. So x equals 2 in this case. So all that we're doing is cross multiplying to solve for x. Okay. Most of the time these are going to be used in word problems. And the one thing you have to be very careful of is that you get your proportions written down correctly. And so we'll do some practice with those in another video. But for right now, as long as you know how to solve them, that's the biggest step. And then it's just making sure that you can get it set up from a word problem. So I hope this video helps you with proportions.